So before we start today's video, I thought I'd take the opportunity to let you all know later on today I will be doing a full response to Prime Minister's questions. Now, as this particular Prime Minister's questions is the final one before the parliamentary recess, yeah, they get a summer break like school kids, I'm going to devote a lot of time to this one, and I might respond to all the questions, which means the stream is going to be quite long. I may reach out to 1 or 2 people just to help me for lols. Now, the subject of today's video, now that I've gotten that out of the way, is actually something that has cropped up in the past. So the fact it has cropped up again should raise some alarm bells. And it does raise some rather interesting ethical, moral, and other such questions when it comes to this particular topic, which is quite sensitive by nature. Now, I know a lot of people who are quite no-nonsense in their opinions on how to treat certain people that commit certain crimes, or certain people that commit a crime, and how they are subsequently treated by the criminal justice system. But in this instance, it is not just the actual criminal, but also their victims who are themselves criminals we have to consider. So, transgender prisoner who was put in a female jail despite not having sex change surgery, sexually assaulted 4 women inmates before being moved to a male prison. I wonder how many of you have instantly said, they're getting absolutely raped in a male prison. Just saying that aloud felt so ad-friendly. It's almost up there with the recent conflict around the new She-Ra image that looks like a Ben 10 ripoff. Not judging, if it sells, it sells. I'm just keenly awaiting the reboot, remake even, of He-Man to She-Man. Oh, dear God. And I've gotten off topic. But if someone can draw He-Man as She-Man, shit. I'm not re-recording that. Please DM a picture of it to me or just link it to me on Twitter. It would be amusing. Now, a transgender prisoner has been accused of sexually assaulting 4 female inmates after being sent to a women's prison despite not having had reassignment surgery. It's important to note in prisons, any sexual interaction is considered sexual assault, for the most part. In this instance, because this particular female prisoner has a wang, I think that's where the argument may come from, unless of course this person also put themselves onto someone and forced them to receive the D from the lady. Oh, I get the feeling I'm going to be accused of being transphobic. Some of my best Sammich wenches are trans. Actually, my best Sammich wench is in fact trans. Hi Melody, love you babe. Now, it is alleged the first attack took place within days of the inmate arriving at Newhall Jail in Wakefield, West Yorkshire. The prisoner has been living as a woman for more than 2 years, was seen visibly aroused during the assault at the high-security complex. The alleged victim, an inmate with whom the inmate had become friends with, said she could see the prisoner's erect penis at the time of the assault. Was that when the alarm bell went off, or did you not know that this particular lady had a wang? There was also claims the prisoner made inappropriate comments about oral sex to another prisoner, while a third says she was also attacked, and a fourth claims she was kissed on the neck by the transgender inmate. I'm leaving that in. The transgender inmate. Now this all brings up a really important question. If someone is trans, which prison do they go to? Do they go to the one for their biological sex, or do they go to the one for the gender they identify with? Because this is important, and I think it would certainly depend on individual cases. It must be quite difficult how you try someone in a court. Now you can only assume this particular trans woman received a lesser sentence than what a male would have gotten, or what she would have gotten had she still been a male, because protected class and everything. Although I would argue double protected, but not so protected that you could get your wang out and do things with it. I thought trans people were effectively sterile. Sterile? Yes. As you can see, I'm taking this super serially. The transgender prisoner has now been sent to a Category B men's jail in a case that will reignite the debate over whether such prisoners should be sent to women's jails prior to gender reassignment surgery. I would argue that depending on the nature of the crime itself, how far along this person has transitioned, and a rather extensive and intrusive psychological profile to try and ascertain that person's motivations along with many other mitigating factors that for some reason have evaded my mind, then you could decide whether that one person belongs in a male or female prison, as opposed to the one that they should go to for their biological sex. If that all makes sense, please let me know. But I do think there is a certain challenge around this, as this has cropped up in the past. So, if someone, for example, committed a sexual offence, and they were tried as a female when they were born a male and sent to a female prison, that person should be therefore separated from general population, placed in segregation, administrative segregation I think it's called, essentially just locked up in a teeny tiny room because they're a sex offender anyway, and quite frankly don't deserve any respect regardless of their trans status. And I will make it quite clear now, the debate about whether trans people should go to prisons for the gender they identify with or their biological sex is a very interesting one. But it's also important to note that just because this particular person still has a wang doesn't mean that had this person had the full surgery, they would not have had the opportunity or considered sexually assaulting someone in prison. As we know, sexual assault in prison is quite common. The recent figures indicate there were 125 transgender prisoners in England and Wales, up to the end of March 2017, an increase from 70 a year earlier. Or maybe we should just do what the prison minister person said. Maybe we should create a trans community outreach centre instead of a prison, but make it solely for trans people, so essentially a big old bouncy castle, because there are so many of them. It's remarkable how so few people can inspire such a hearty debate. Currently, transgender women can only legally change their gender on their birth certificate if they've been medically diagnosed with gender dysphoria and have lived as a woman for 2 years. Criteria I am quite happy to keep in place, because the last thing we want is someone taking the piss and switching their gender every day. Those gender fluid fucks. I'm talking about you. Or is it gender queer? Gender non-conforming? Gender something. Sigh. But also, with gender dysphoria, and having lived as a woman for 2 years, you would have of course gone through certain treatment. That would then enable you to go down that path, and then come to an adequate decision whether you intend to commit or not. This isn't like children where they should not be put on puberty blockers at all. I stand by that idea, by the way. I know there are some that disagree with me, some of whom are trans, and I know I know you disagree with me on this, but I think you disagreed on the sources I used because of the Christian-related elements, even though the information was somewhat solid. Doesn't matter. Unlike with children who are remarkably fickle, adults have a little more wiggle room, so I think it is more respectful and understandable to want to be cautious and take your time so as to make sure that you are absolutely certain of the decision you're making, which is a very adult decision to make. Anyway, judges deciding whether to send transgender prisoners to male or female prisons often use this as a deciding factor. Transgender inmates also benefit from greater freedom in terms of dress code and can shower and wash clothes in private. Wait, so prisons have trans bathrooms already? I know someone might now just say, and it's not going to be me that suggests this, but I know someone has thought this, why don't they just do what everyone else does and use the disabled bathroom because it has more space anyway? It's certainly what I used to do when I cycled to work. It was the best bathroom, it had handrails and everything. It's amazing. Although I am curious why it's so important that they preserve their modesty. It's interesting. You're a prisoner. What modesty do you deserve? You're there to do your time. Your gender, your body is utterly irrelevant. Even if it is, to you, a wreck, or you may yourself consider it to be not beach body ready. I don't think the bull dykes care. Although they will when they see your dick. I have been very blunt with the way I've put that across. Oh dear. Anyway, I am very keen to hear what you all think about this particular case, especially as it has cropped up before, as I have already stated twice at least. So please let me know in the comments below. So I hope everyone has a lovely Thursday. I shall mostly be walking. Not even a joke, I'm going for a very long walk. I'm exciting, although we'll be listening to Rammstein, so that's good. And thank you all for listening.
Oh, goddams.
In your arse.
Imagine my shock